Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you're all having a marvelous day. Good evening to you all. Another beautiful day out here in the desert. Still a little chilly for my liking. I know I complain about the heat. Now it's cold. I'm complaining about the heat. I mean, the coldness. But riding a bike is just bone chilling. So I hope everybody's having a great week. Looking forward to the holidays coming up, spending time with family. That's what Christmas is all about, family. Hey, Karen, glad you're here. I started a 14-day fast yesterday. No caffeine, no processed sugars, and no bread for 14 days. And the caffeine headache kicked in today. So I'm drinking tea. It's not caffeinated tea, but it's tea. So I'm trying to nurse my headache right now. So, anyways, I want to talk a little bit today about, is it a reason or are we justifying our drinking? There's a piece I'll talk about in a minute that I read from my book, quoted from my book today. So, well, I'll start by saying this, that in an article written by La Vitana Treatment Center, they stated that addiction is 50% genetic and 50% environmental. 50% genetic and 50% environmental. Unfortunately for me, I was doomed from the get-go because I have both of those working against me. My mother's side of the family was extremely alcoholic, extremely dark, a lot of abuse on that side of the family. And so they had the genetic part as well. Now, when I talk about environment, what exactly is environment, you might be asking? And it could be a number of things. It could be just as much as simple as you grew up in a household where drinking was just a norm. That's just what they did, and it was an everyday thing. And hey, Mike, glad you're here. Um, and they just drank every day. It just was like what they did. It was part of the family, and just like people getting together to have a barbecue with Pepsis, barbecue and beer and whatever you were drinking. So that's one part of the environment, and the other, that's a simple side of the environment. The more difficult side of the environment would be, in my case, and a lot of cases, would be trauma. It could be sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, just a number of different things. And how that happens is that whereas the simple part, where you just grow up in a house full of people drinking, well, you just drink. It's just normal. So you just continually drink and you're having fun in life. And then unfortunately, that genetic part's inside of you and it's just sleeping. And that's the sad part about the genetics of it, is that we never know that that we're alcoholic until one day we wake up and all of a sudden the world's different. It's like, man, how come I can't quit drinking no matter what? Where when we're talking about trauma or sexual abuse or physical or any kind of trauma, I mean, PTSD from wars and everything, we'll start drinking or using to numb our pain. It's the only thing we can figure out to do. We don't know how to deal with the pain, the emotions, the feelings that we have to deal with. So we'll start drinking, and we find out that it works really quick, really easy. Now, when I'm talking about addictions, I want you to understand something, that addiction doesn't have to be just drugs and alcohol, because a lot of people are addicted to pornography or gambling or shopping or even eating. I mean, addictions are a lot of different things. So don't just put alcohol and drugs in this little tiny jar and think that's all it is. If you think about what happened with the hey Eddie, what's up, man? Glad you're here. If you think, Laura, how are you? If you think about what happened years ago with a lap band, I don't know, probably 5 years ago, people were getting lap band surgery and they were losing all this weight. And then 6 months, a year down the line, all of a sudden they're alcoholic. Well, you can see what's going on here. They didn't address the underlying issue. They were an addict. They have the genetic disposition about them. And so what they didn't do is they didn't address the underlying issues that was causing their drinking problems. And if you got the genetic and the environmental part, then you're doubly screwed, because even if you wanted, what they were doing is they were cross addicting. So my food's not working no more. I had it taken away from me. I lost all this weight. Now I start drinking, but I'm drinking like I used to eat. I hope that all makes sense. So that this gets really confusing, and so it's just not as simple as drugs and alcohol. There's a lot involved in it. Okay, so the genetic part is if you don't have the gene, right? If you don't have the gene, you likely won't become an alcoholic or an addict. I can't promise you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist, but you're likely not to become an alcoholic if you don't have that genetic factor. You might, if you're having a bad day, have a drink and then feel better the next morning and go about your life, not drink again for 10 years. And I'm not here to tell you you're an alcoholic or you're not an alcoholic. That's not for me to say. But if you do have that genetic component to you, then you're pretty much doomed. I wish I could tell you different, but that's pretty much what the science is telling us, is that it's a genetic component that enhances the alcoholism or kicks it off or gets you hooked onto it. Like I said earlier, the sad part about that is we never know when it's going to grab us. I never knew when I was going to be grabbed by the alcohol and drugs. I was doing it for a long time. Yeah, I was doing it because of my trauma, but I was also doing it just to have fun. I can remember I was working on a job, and I was about 32, I think. I remember I woke up one morning going to work going, what happened last night? Because I'm not bouncing back like I used to. I'm drinking more, I'm using more, and I can't get up as easy as I used to and just go to work all day long and then go home and start all over again. There was a switch in my physiological makeup, I guess, at that point in time. So we got to be really careful. If you're out there listening and you don't know, am I an alcoholic or I'm not, I can't tell you that. There's some tests, real simple tests you can take that gives you a good indication that you might be. But only you can determine that. There's signs where I could probably say, well, you're likely an alcoholic from what you're telling me. But there's also a DSM standard, that certain criteria that you got to meet in order to be an alcoholic or an addict. Okay. So what I did is I posted from my book earlier on page 147. It's the chapter entitled "Getting Clean," under the subtitle of risk factors. In that chapter, I told you I'd talk a little bit more about that chapter. Here's what I posted. I'm going to read the whole paragraph that I posted from. It says, while it may be true that there is a genetic component to my alcohol and drug abuse, I want to be clear that in recovery, there is a fine line between a reason for something and a justification for it. There's a fine line between a reason for something and a justification for it. My genetic predisposition to being an alcoholic does not give me an excuse to drink. Okay? It does not give me, and I'll elaborate on these last couple of sentences here in a minute. But just because I'm predisposed to be an alcoholic, actually I should be running from alcohol at this point, or I am now, but back in the time. Neither does my childhood sexual abuse give me the excuse. Okay, so my predisposition does not give me an excuse to drink, and neither does my childhood sexual abuse. Neither one of those give me an excuse to drink. I cannot heal and move on without taking. I'm sorry, I'll start over. I cannot heal and move on without taking full responsibility for my actions. So full responsibility for my actions. So before we come into recovery, and I was talking at a facility today, and I brought this up. Before we come into recovery, we drink and use because that's the only thing that we knew. In our minds, that's the only choice that we had, is that, well, if what happened to you happened to me, you drink also. Until you walked in my shoes, I don't want to hear a word. We have all these excuses that we'll use to tell people, don't say nothing until you've walked in my shoes. Okay? Then you can talk to me about it. And so I use my trauma. A lot of people, they use their trauma or their past hurts, hang-ups, or habits, whatever those might be, to drink. Because they didn't know any different. Okay? They didn't know any different. blaming everything on everybody else. It's not my fault, man. If I wouldn't have been abused, this wouldn't have happened. Or if only she was a better wife, I wouldn't have left her. Or if he was a better husband, I wouldn't have left him. Or I could go on the excuses. We never, when we're out there running a gun, and we never want to take responsibility for our part in anything. And the reality is, with the exception of abuse, we have a part in everything that happens in our life on a daily basis. And I mean everything with the exception of abuse. If we're there, we had a part in it. And so we have to own up to our responsibility for our actions, not for other people's actions, not for the abuse. Okay, I had no part in the abuse. There's nothing I have to own up to. But I have to take responsibility for the affair I had on Kathy. The attitudes I had towards people, and the victimism I was playing, and the manipulation that I used to do, and the anger and the hate and the rage and all that. I had to own my responsibility in that. And until I did that, I wasn't going to get help. So now, that was out back then. So now that we're in recovery, or we're walking towards recovery, or let's say we started going to church and we want to clean up our act. Maybe we're not in a recovery home, but I ask people this. Hesitate for a minute. When I talk today, people often tell me, Randy, man, I've got 2-3 years of sobriety. Cool. I'm proud. I'm happy for you. How's your recovery? And they look at me, because remember, here's the deal. Sobriety is just not drinking. It's not drinking and using. Okay? Sobriety is not eating, not gambling. Sobriety is just abstinence from our drug of choice, but yet everything in our life remains the same. We still have the same problems we had in the past. Our wife, our husbands, they don't want nothing to do with us. Our employers, our employees think we're miserable. What's wrong with them? Nothing's changed other than the fact that we haven't drank. The big book of Alcoholics Anonymous tells us on the top of page 64, and I believe people wholeheartedly on purpose don't want to read this. It says liquor, and that liquor could be guns, it could be drugs, it could be food, just whatever you want to put in the place of liquor, is but a symptom. We must get to the underlying causes and conditions. That's what recovery is. When we dive into why am I this way? Why am I so full of anger and hate? I wasn't born that way. And I don't know what that is for you. I can't say what that is for you. But we all have underlying issues that we have to address in order to grow up and become contributing members of society. And until we do that, we're just going to be stuck in our past, in our past behavior. I've heard a lot of people say, well, it's just the way I was born. No, it's not. You weren't born a miserable idiot. Sorry, I hate that word, but you weren't. You weren't born full of rage and anger and hate. That's something that over generation from generation handed down to, that was handed down to you. It's learned behavior. So we can unlearn that behavior and learn loving and kind behavior. All right? We can learn how to be loving to our spouse. We can learn how to not take things personal. So getting back to the before recovery, that's all we knew. But like I told these guys today at the facility I spoke at, bad news is today, and your whole time in treatment here, you've been given another choice. So now if you drink again, you can't blame it on your past. You can't blame it on your wife being mad at you. You can't blame it on the ticket you got. You can't blame it on a big celebration you had coming up. The choice was yours, and yours alone. Okay, because once we enter some kind of a treatment program, whatever that program might be, we're given the choice of recovery. We're given the choice of life. Now, therefore, when things get rough, and they do get rough for even us that have a long-term recovery, I struggle still. But the last thing on my mind is this over here, the alcohol that's over here. Because, yeah, that's a much easier road if you look at it from this side. This road over here is much tougher, but in the long run, it's much better. So what choice are you going to make? This is I don't know who's all listening out there. I see some of you signed on, but later on, people are going to be signing on, and this might be the first time you hear something like this. And are you going to choose victimism, and continue drinking and blaming everything on your past? Or are you going to choose recovery and fight the good fight with the rest of us? And I hope it's the latter of the two. And if you're having struggles with all this, remember, I'm a certified life coach and a drug and alcohol counselor. So more than anything, I'm a certified life coach. I'll be glad to walk you through this kind of stuff. I don't want to see if I'm missing anything. No. So yeah, I can walk you through any of this kind of stuff. But so I hope that's it for today. I hope that everybody got a little bit of knowledge from that, a little bit of wisdom from that. And just remember that recovery is a process. It's a lifelong journey. We don't just do recovery for a year and then it's over with. I work on my recovery every day. I battle things, not as much as I used to, but I still battle. My biggest battle is self-doubt. I'll just be transparent with y'all. That's what my biggest battle is. And I've got mentors right now really helping me to get over that. Look, you get my book, Healing the Man Within. You can get it on Amazon.com. I'm still real close. I haven't been able to hook up my contact at Barnes & Noble. I'm hoping to have it in Barnes & Noble before Christmas, so maybe next week I'll have that news. So you can get my book, Amazon.com, Healing the Man Within, or you can go to my website, courageoushealers.org, and you can get it on that website as well. Either way, it doesn't matter to me. ChangeYourLifeStoryNow.com, that's my life coaching website. I'm going to be adding some stuff to that, upgrading. I'm going to start an email list. So if any of you want to be on my email list, instant message me and I'll put you on it. I'm going to probably after the first year start doing newsletters and some trainings, more than this, some more in-depth trainings and videos. And that'll be on my ChangeYourLifeStoryNow.com website. Also, ChangeYourLifeStoryNow.com. We're going to have our couples workshop probably in the middle of January. I'll get a date out here in the next couple of weeks or so. Kathy and I'll sit down and figure that out. It's going to be here. Right now we'll probably have it at our house unless I have enough people. Then I got a couple of facilities I can use. So we're trying to do these workshops and I'm just trying to grow everything, trying to grow me. And then right across America is coming up still. I'm still in the process. I'm meeting with Tim Messer next Monday to help me get this thing finalized as far as the courses. And then I'll be hopefully be doing some fundraising. So if anybody's interested in helping me in any way, at any capacity, just instant message me and I'll figure something out. I'm going to need a lot of help. I'm going to put this out there too for everybody. I need somebody to help me with my marketing for promoting my book. What I'm looking for is somebody that can help me with a video. They're going to have to be around here because it's got to be one-on-one. I need to put a really good promo package together, both for my book and for my life coaching. I need to get both of these launched and get them out there for people to see. All the feedback from my book has been nothing but positive. It's a must-read book, is what everybody's saying. I just got to get it in the hands of the right people in order for it to really take off. So, but I'm trusting and I'm believing and I'm declaring that God's going to take care of all this for me. So anyways, I think that's enough out of me. You all have a super, super blessed week. And if nobody tells you they love you today, remember God does, and so does Randy. Toodles, guys. Hey, what's up, everybody? Mhm.